Welcome into the Big Friday Kickoff Podcast. I'm your sports director, Emily Cochran. He's Robert Restagno, and we have a very, very special edition of the show this week. High school football, the 2025 season is officially over, but we've got a lot of good stuff in this week's episode. Wallace Gilberry is going to be joining our show today. He played in the NFL for 9 seasons, played at Alabama. He graduated from Baldwin County High School, played football at Baldwin County. So, Robert, this is just a jam-packed episode. A lot of good stuff to talk about.
Yeah, this is this I think was one of our favorite episodes that we've done. Wallace was amazing as we thought he would be, and I think after this episode, that may not be the last time you see him here on the Big Friday Kickoff Podcast, because I think we enjoyed it that much.
Yeah, I think it's the beginning of a very beautiful relationship. Yeah. So we had a blast catching up with him today, talking all things 68 Ventures Bowl, the playoff picture, local talent in our area. I mean, a lot of good stuff. So yeah, we got to catch up with Wallace Gilberry, and let me tell you, this one is a treat. All right, guys, joining us now is Wallace Gilberry, our very own hometown hero. He graduated from Baldwin County High School, played football there, moved on to play at Alabama, went on to play in the NFL for 9 years. Wallace, thanks so much for joining us.
No, thank you guys for having me.
Absolutely, yeah. Lived in my hometown, Kentucky State there for a little bit.
Absolutely.
Yeah, y'all
Welcome
also
to Florence, y'all.
Yeah.
Y'all also have another connection too, right?
Yeah, your brother works with my dad.
Yeah,
that's right.
Slinging it.
Yeah.
He's a hard worker, man, so I know your dad has to be. And you said they talk basketball.
Oh, yeah,
so he loves
yeah.
sports, so I know you got a lot. Saturdays.
Yeah, I know. Apparently, he's a big Kentucky basketball fan, which my dad didn't know. So
he sure is.
That's exactly what
he
they
likes
talk about.
winners. So I mean, Kentucky, you know.
Of course, thank you, Wallace. I appreciate that.
Don't boost his head up too much.
So your dad probably goes back and forth because he's in some kind of fantasy league, and they take that real serious.
Oh
yeah.
Yeah. We do here too. We have a fantasy league at the station. Everyone takes it extremely serious.
How do you place in every year?
There have been a couple years I've had really good years. I think I won 1 year, but this year, no, I didn't even make the playoffs.
Well, you call me, I'll be a handicap for you.
I need it. I need you to help me out. I need you to help me.
Well,
Oh my God, I got injured this year.
Wallace, you got to know something about this one.
Okay.
So I think she was in maybe 8 fantasy leagues this year.
This year, yeah.
She was in 25 last year.
Oh my God.
So how are you
Emily,
going to be?
that's too,
You're
all over the board.
I know, but I feel like it's the best way to keep up.
Yeah.
It's the best way to keep up with all the players, though. And
So are you learning on the
what.
fly, or do you have like a secret recipe you use, or it's just like?
I'm pretty much learning on the fly.
Oh, wow.
This is only I think this is my 3rd year doing it, and I really just started doing it just to learn the players. I mean, it's the best thing for me to keep the education of it all, to
and
learn.
It's the camaraderie too, and you're an ex-athlete yourself, so I get it. You want to stay in contact with the sport. I get it.
And it's competitive. It is extremely competitive, and as being a competitor, like you want to win. So
Absolutely.
it's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun. Well, speaking of, I want to talk a little bit about you and kind of just let the viewers know who you are. I mean, you played at Baldwin County High School. Just talk about your early years playing in high school.
It was fun, Baldwin County High School, grew up under Jack French. Ricky Ford was my earlier coach. It was a little different back then. You didn't have all the social media that you have now. You didn't have all of the trainers and the access to all that these kids have now. So, I remember after practice, if I didn't have to go to IHOP and go to work, I would get in the backyard with a tire I had nailed to a tree. That was how I practiced on shooting my hands, So looking back on it's funny now, but, it was just the things that we had to do to kind of keep ourselves, in the mix, And now these kids, they got quarterback country and O-line, D-line camps, so there's so much stuff that they can get into and keep them, from being rusty. But you had to find your own way to sharpen your tool back then. So it was a little different, but, I had fun with it. I was able to take that attitude and mindset and kind of cultivate a scholarship from the Mississippi-Alabama All-Star game. Kind of last man picked, actually. Didn't have a scholarship until that game. Quarterback for Alabama ended up going to play baseball, so a scholarship opened up, and I was able to, receive that scholarship. And redshirted my first year, kind of learned how to be a student athlete. Took the classroom very serious. Got a communications degree, actually, from the University of Alabama, and did great. Came out my freshman year, All-American, All-SEC. I finished up All-American, All-SEC, second team All-American, first team All-SEC my senior year, and went on to play 9 years in the NFL, and tried to come back much as I can to show these kids around here that they could do it too, So
I think one thing he and I talk about a lot is like we talk about transfer portal and NIL and all these things and how much the game has changed, especially from the time you were playing to now what kids are going through.
Absolutely.
I mean, I really want to know like what's your perspective on that, especially at the high school level, because I mean, there's the quote unquote transfer portal. I mean, what do you think seeing that as a guy that's from here?
I look at it two ways, you know, and I think the guys who using it look at it two ways too. You got some kids that get in the portal because they can't compete where they're at. You know, they can't crack the starting lineup or they can't, you know, crack the special team lineup, so they get in the portal and leave. I understand those guys. You know, it's competition is not for everyone. You know, then you got some of those guys who might have started at a lower level school and have earned the attention from, you know, a P5 level, you know, caliber program, and you know, those guys, you know, have a reason to get in the portal because they want to play big, you know, bigger ball. But overall, I think it's kind of put a black eye on the sport just because the way that we're using it is not, I think, the way it was intended to be used. You know, you have some guys that's, you know, family of 6, you know, full beard.
Yes.
I mean, I don't understand that part of it, you know,
yeah.
guy 38 years old, senior in college.
Yes.
It doesn't make any sense to me, but they figured out a way to, you know, to be in the system.
Well, and they changed the rules in the midst of having players getting those COVID years too. So, you know, there's a lot of college players right now who have like double dipped on different rules, you know, and have been there 8 years at this point, you know. But, you know, it's interesting at the high school level. Me and Emily have talked about this quite a bit. You know, I think there's an argument to be made that high school coaching and success at the high school level is ultimately for kids to get a shot at a free education at the next level, you know, and be able to better their lives and better their families' lives. And, you know, when it comes to the transfer portal kind of at the high school level, I've always kind of been of the mindset if one kid feels like a coach at another school can put them in a better position to make it to the next level, then I think I'm ultimately okay with that because that's what it should be about.
By all
but
means.
you know, it seems to be a big debate between sort of old school coaches and sort of some of the newer school coaches about whether transferring in any form is good at the high school level. So I'm just curious. I wonder what you think about that aspect of it, the high school part.
At that part, I feel like that's the time that a kid is developing. You know, he's learning how to be a student athlete himself. And to be a young adult. And if you take a kid from an environment that's, you know, hard coach, you know, the coach is on them, you know, 24/7, and you put him in a different environment where the coach may not be so hard on him, that kid is going to struggle.
Right.
You know, I mean, just being honest. And it's just like if you take a kid he's living with two parents, you know, and when his mom kind of lax on him and dad kind of more stern on him, he's not going to want to spend that much time with his dad.
Right.
So you kind of develop that kind of mindset in these kids that you're not really teaching them how to really tough it out, how to figure it out, and how to understand, well, you know, what it's like to go through life.
Sure.
You know, so that aspect of it, I think it could be, like you're saying, more emphasis on, you know, at the end of the day, those are kids. You know, give them a chance, give them a time to grow up. But then again, too, like you say, you got some guys like Phillip Rivers over at St. Michael's that want to go play with NFL prototype quarterback, and as a receiver, I understand that. You know, so I get it. But again, those are kids, and I think if you're moving a kid for the simple fact that he's doesn't want to be disciplined, he doesn't want to be coached, and you know that's a problem.
Yeah, no doubt. And you know, we're not too far away removed from these kids growing up even quicker than they are because the money is only going to keep trickling down to the high. It's already there. It's just not as out in the open as it is in college. Right. But that's just, you know, these kids are going to be their own brands by the time they're 12, 13, 14 years old here very, very soon.
And that's another thing, too. I don't know how much time we have to touch on that. But I don't think the parents and the kids are being, you know, adequately coached up on being a brand.
Yes.
You know, because what I do with a lot of those kids I train on the defensive side of it, I put them in front of these microphones because I tell them if you can't speak in front of the microphone, a company's not going to want to invest in you.
Right.
Because you, like you say, you are a brand. And you get in front of the microphone and, you know, you're not wearing a tie and, you know, you're not carrying yourself to a standard, you're being judged.
Yes.
You know, and so if you can get a kid to understand at the age of 12, he has a head start, you know, moving forward than a normal 17-year-old with that lack of knowledge, knowing that, hey, your social media, the things you post, the things that your friends post, all that plays a part into your brand. So
yeah, absolutely.
We've talked about that too a lot. Like if something maybe we could do is like help prepare these kids earlier. They need, like, I know they do it in college now. There's a class for athletes where they help prepare them for media and being in front of the camera and being at the mic. And I think you now need to start that at a much younger age. These kids are, I mean, we're out there interviewing, but it gets even crazier when you get into college. So that's one thing we've discussed about, potentially helping these kids from Mobile County Public Schools and Baldwin County Public Schools, athletes, helping them get prepared to be in front of the mic, to be in front of the camera, the questions you're going to be asked, because it's a lot of pressure. It's a lot of pressure when you're 18, to 22 in college. It's even more pressure when you're, like you said, between 12 and 13 years old.
Absolutely. And like you say, Em, if we can, and I know you guys can't be everywhere. I know y'all like to be, but you just can't.
That's right.
Yeah, we try.
Yeah, I know for sure you do. You guys, you got your Nappy Awards to prove it. I paid attention at your office, but you can't be everywhere, and you would like to be everywhere because you know the impact that would have on not just that child, but his peers. If you got a kid and he's fluent with the media, his friends are going to want to. They're creatures of habit. They're going to want to know, hey, where are you going to? Where are you going to learn that? Like, who taught you how to be so confident in front of the camera? And you never know what it can springboard. And I see these schools try to build these communication classes within like the school, but you got kids teaching kids.
Yes.
I understand the notion, but you need people like you guys that's experienced, that not just so serious with the media, having fun with it, and let them know that, hey, this is, you don't have to be the news, the anchor man to get the job done. You can come sit in this kind of setting and express yourself and still, get it in. So, yeah, I definitely feel like there should be some kind of emphasis put on those kids having that, adequate training at that young age, for sure.
Could be some project to look at down the road, maybe.
Right.
You never know.
I think it's so cool to give these kids an opportunity for us to see who they are outside of the game, give them an opportunity to show what their personalities are, because people connect with that more when they feel like you're not just talking X's and O's, but you're also getting to know who they are. And but yeah, social media plays such a big part in it, and we talked about that too. There's a lot of stuff in high school. I'm sure their social media gets managed. That wasn't a thing that was really going on.
You would think so, but I had a coach. They were recruiting this kid out of Florida. I'm not going to say his names for various reasons, but they were recruiting this kid out of Florida, top prospect. I mean, I think he was top. He definitely on the 300 list. I want to say top 50. I want to say. But they went back and, to look at his Instagram and his social media, and, there were his guns in his picture, people smoking and drinking in the pictures.
Right.
And so all that plays a part. They don't think that, what they post and the people that they hang around has an effect on them. But the birds of a feather flock together, that's one of the truest statements to this day that people use against you that you don't really know.
Right, yeah. and it's going to come up at some point anyway, because, I mean, as somebody who went through the NFL process,
absolutely.
Those guys will hire private investigators.
Listen, they went back and talked to my elementary school teacher.
Right.
and of course she said good things about me, but I mean, it's like.
But that's insane.
Right.
Does that almost feel like an invasion of privacy?
I wasn't even I was in elementary school. Like, I'm still throwing milk cartons, you know? So it's like, but they want to, like he said, they want to know how far, like, what, because patterns are patterns. Like, a leopard doesn't change its spot, nor does a zebra change its stripe. So they want to know, and they have the means and the resources to go get the answers. And so if you can, like you said, if we can get those kids on that trajectory at a early age, because a lot of these kids, 12, 13 years old, they're playing varsity now.
Yeah,
they're exposed to freshman, JV, even though they're mid-teens, they're with full-grown teenagers.
Yeah.
So we could, like you said, find some kind of program and some kind of help to give those kids the advocacy to be more prepared. I think it'll help this area develop much quicker than what it is.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think another thing is that I know coaches are trying to do more and more of now is be more involved with these younger kids. I know we see it at Gulf Shores with Mark Hudspeth.
He's amazing.
He's trying to get more and more involved with kids at that young age. Because another thing they're trying to fight against is the transfer portal, like we talked about. And if you start at an early age, bringing them in, showing them you care, like you're building something from the ground up. And I think another aspect of that is like we talked about. All right, you're here, we're talking about football, but we also need to prepare you for the media aspect of it 100%. As well. I am curious to know a little bit more about like your time at Alabama, like, and kind of how that prepared you for the next level. Because I know you also have some story. We want to talk NFL and hear some Phillip Rivers stories as well. So let's start before we get into 68 Ventures, because a lot to talk about there too. But yeah, talk about your time at Alabama.
Oh man, it was amazing. A lot of people think it wasn't because I was a part of the generation, as you can say, that didn't beat Auburn or didn't beat LSU. And true enough, we didn't. But football was different back then. Auburn and LSU had guys. We didn't. When I was at Bama, it was, I don't know you guys look pretty young. And that's okay. But we were coming off of probation. So we were limited on everything. Scholarships, we couldn't go to bowl games. So Bama wasn't appeasing. It wasn't the creme de la creme, of the SEC. A lot of the players in the state were actually going to Auburn. That was the crown jewel at the time. But we hung it in there, man. We had, in my time at Bama, just so you get an understanding of what I went through, I had 2 head coaches, 3 coordinators, and 5 position coaches in 4 years.
Goodness.
So every
That's
year,
crazy.
it was. And I used to feel, at the time, I felt sorry for myself. I was looking at all my other guys, like my boy Quinn Groves played at Auburn, and I had Titus Brown at Mississippi State, and those guys were, we were all competing, looking at the numbers every week. You're like, if I got 2 sacks, they got 3 sacks, But they had the same coach every year, so they didn't have to learn a different voice, a different cadence. Every year I had to learn a different way of doing the same thing I came there doing, So I didn't have the opportunity to get comfortable. I was always, every year I was uncomfortable, but I was always at the top of the list. Like, since 2007, I'm the only defensive end with 10-plus sacks.
That's awesome.
So, exactly.
Wow.
You know what I mean? So, but I said it to say this. When I got to the NFL, it's the same way. There's no stability. The coaches are turning key every year. There's different coaching. So I was used to that. I didn't have time to make friends with my coach. It was a business. I was there to work. I was there to do a job. They were expecting me to, play a certain way. And the NFL is the same way. It's a job. You're there, you show up, you do your job, you go home. You entertain your family. So I was kind of being groomed for that and didn't know it, So I kind of hang that with my 9 years in the league, because a lot of people say, well, man, how were you able to play that many years? Because I was able to understand the politics. And that's, to me, the NFL, I tell everybody, it's 40% games, 60% politics.
Right.
Because if you can't maneuver through, I tell everybody, if you're an undrafted free agent and if you think the special team coach isn't your lifeline, you're crazy.
Yeah.
That's the quickest way on the field.
Right.
It's kickoff return.
Sure.
And I saw that, so I said, let me go get on kickoff. So the special team coach, I'm at his office every day. I want to make sure he knows my name, and it worked.
Yeah,
it worked, and because that guy, he controls the roster. The special team coach sets the NFL roster because he's certain guys that he needs on certain special team formations. And if we don't have enough D linemen or receivers dressing, then he can't put our full unit out. So that's very important. A lot of people don't know that, but it's very important. So I tell all these young kids, like, when I go to these colleges and all of them playing defensive end and linebacker,
Right.
and I'm like, do you play special teams? Oh, no, sir. Like, kid,
Yeah,
that's what you're going to
right.
be playing
Yeah.
the first 3 years.
Yeah.
So you might want to learn how to, play some special
Right.
teams. So, like, little caveats like that, because Tony Gonzalez and those guys kind of put me on game my rookie year. Kid, you need to get in the weight room. Kid, you need to learn special
Right.
teams. So it's only right that I take that, information that was given to me and pass it down. And so that's what I've been doing.
Yeah, and it's interesting, like you said, where it's so much about the politics, and that's not just between, I would think, the players and the coaches and like you say, the special teams, and even though you're a defensive end, you're paying your dues on special teams. But, you see these organizations so much all the time. If they draft a quarterback high and it's not working out after a year and a half, they're cutting bait with
100%.
the coaches, coaching staff, and it's
100%.
a complete overhaul the team. So the fact that, you were learning that at Alabama, I'm sure, like you said, just paid off dividends once you got to the NFL.
100%. And what was kind of crazy was the guys, the flip side, that had those coaches throughout their whole career, they couldn't keep up with that.
Sure.
They was too busy. It was, instead of a business to them, it was personal, because they was used to being the guy. They was used to being talked to like the guy. So when you get to the NFL, you have a sticker on your name,
Right,
for a reason,
yeah.
because they don't care what your
Yes,
name is. They want
right.
to know, what can you do for me to keep my
Yes,
job?
yeah.
That's it. So the quicker you can understand that this is a business, the easier to be for
Yeah,
you.
no doubt.
I want to talk a little bit more about your time in the league. I mean, playing for 9 years, you've played against some of the best, you've played with some of the best of the
Absolutely.
best. Just talk
Absolutely.
about some of your favorite moments during your 9 years in the NFL.
Okay, one of my favorite moments, I would have to say, is when my first game in Cincinnati, very first game. The day when I was working out, the coach told me, we're going to need you to play Saturday. And you hear that, through, when you're working out for different teams, coaches, they tell you everything. They kind of tell you what you want to hear. And so I've heard that before, when you get here, we're going to play you. And then it's like, hey, I'm here.
Yeah,
Where's my
right.
playing time, And so, he was telling me at the whole workout, and, the workout went great. They ended up signing me. And true enough, first game. And the guy I was playing, well, they brought me in because the guy tore his ACL. And just so happened the starter, the guy that was behind him, he goes down first play. So now I'm thrust in the game and with 3 days of practice, and I think I only knew like maybe 4 plays that I kind of like knew, you know.
Right, that's nerve-wracking.
And you got to understand too, Emily. So when we go into a game, we may go into a game with 60 calls, and 40 of them you have to know, and they're probably only gonna call 5 of them the whole game.
Right,
it's so crazy, and that call may come in 2 minutes long, but it's only 2 words that you're listening to that pertains to you, you know. And so you got to process all of that. And Vontez Burford, one of the linebackers we had, great linebacker out of Arizona State, and he smacks the running back, pops the ball out, ball's on the ground. I scoop it up, stiff arm the quarterback, high step the offensive lineman, and 30-yard touchdown.
Hey, there we go.
Yeah,
all right.
It was like a surreal moment. It's like one of those Cinderella moments, you know, like who is this guy? Oh, that's Gilberry, like, you know. So that was, and that play kind of like it staked me in the defense. They were like, okay, he's one of us. So they accepted me real early, and I went into Kansas City. Carlos Dunlap from Florida, Geno Atkins out of Georgia, Damatar Petco from Michigan State, Michael Johnson. He was a Selma guy, but he went to Alabama. He went to Georgia Tech. So the D line was, boy dogs across the front. So I was easily able to fit in with those guys in my mindset, and all those guys went to Pro Bowls. Every year I was there, I made sure they all went to Pro Bowls. Yep. We all worked together. No one was selfish. Well, Carlos was a little selfish, but that's just Carlos. You know Los, you know it. But other than that, man, everybody worked together, man, and even Carlos, we all worked together. We had these game stunts that we all used throughout the game, and we made sure everyone got their just due. And so Cincinnati was kind of like when you asked me earlier about the teams. That's the one I like to brag about the most, because it was one of the most family-oriented teams that I was with.
And you mentioned Kansas City. We were talking before we started recording that put you up against Phillip Rivers twice a year, who is in the news a lot lately.
The most trash talking as quarterback in quarterback history. I'll never forget, bro. It was first game against Phillip. You know, you read the player report, and you get and I say he was from Alabama. I'm like, oh, that's cool. Like, I didn't even know he was from Alabama because he didn't go to Bama or Auburn. So how did he go to Alabama or Auburn? You know, like those are only 2 schools.
NC State.
Right, exactly. Right.
NC State is crazy.
Right, it's crazy work. But now, so the whole game, I'm looking to get close to him so I can say, hey, I'm from Bama too. You know? Yeah. Because back then, I mean, now Alabama just put so many guys in the league, but back then it wasn't like that.
Sure.
Like at one time, I was the Lone Ranger. I was the only guy in the league for like 3 years from Alabama. It was crazy, right?
Dang, that's awesome, though.
Boring, though.
Yeah.
It was boring because everybody else was trash talking me. LSU guys, everybody.
Oh, goodness.
But we can't. But no, it's okay because Saban got it together.
I was about to say,
It changed fast. It changed fast. But so I hit him. Knocked the crap out of him, literally. But he gets the ball off, because that's just what Phillip did.
Right.
I mean, he was one of those guys where you thought you sacked him, and next thing you know, it's a 60-yard bomb.
Sure.
So he gets the ball off, and the guy catches the ball. So I reach down to, pick him off the ground. He smacks my hand down. He's like, I don't need your help. Like, you need my help. Like, I'm like, what? Like what's wrong with you, guy? Like, who are you? And I one day I pulled the tape up so you can see the game. He just trash talking, doesn't curse.
Not at all.
It's not one curse word, but he's the
that
filthiest trash talker in the NFL. Like, he's a Christian trash talker.
Right.
That's what it's like a pissed off pastor. That's what you can compare him to, man. But the way that and I tell him all the time, because I'm from Baldwin County, he ended up coaching over at St. Michael's, and his kid grew up in the flag football league. I mean, he has more to come, if you guys don't know.
Right.
He has an army of these kids.
Gunner's,
Gunner's just a tip of the iceberg.
He's just one.
He's a tip of the iceberg. And he's coaching flag football. And I didn't know he's in town at the time. But I'm watching, these kids, and I'm watching his quarterback, and I'm like, this kid has been, he knows the way he's moving in the pocket. Like I'm like, this kid ain't normal.
Right.
Yeah.
And so I'm study watching the kid. Next thing I know, I see Phillip Rivers. I'm like, that ain't Phillip. Like, what would he doing in Baldwin County, Yeah. So I make my way over the field, and it is him. I said, bro, what are you doing here? I should sack you right now, And we go to laughing and talking, but his son, Gunner, at the time, Gunner probably was like, I don't know, maybe 13, 14 years old, maybe 12. But I knew the kid had field aware presence. You can tell his dad really in his life and really working with him. And so I'm glad that we have Phillip in our area because he's really motivated those kids over in Baldwin County, especially at St. Michael's.
Sure.
So my hat goes out to Silly Phil.
Yeah. Well, and you talk about the flag football. Now I'm curious. I'm not sure if this is the same thing or not, but the Gulf Coast, that travel football league that's down there. It's like the Gulf Coast Athletic. We've talked about it before.
Yeah.
it seems like that travel football, the sort of 7-on-7 flag football kind of stuff in Mobile and Baldwin County has really grown the last few years. I don't ever really remember that.
And that's what we were talking about earlier. It has grown, and I'm not a fan of 7-on-7.
Right.
To be honest, I'm going to put that out there because I feel like it doesn't really help anyone except maybe
the skill position.
Right.
Yeah, receivers and quarterbacks.
Yeah, and even so, not even really because those guys are going through traffic too. And they're having to get off the line, and so when you're out there in those shells, you don't really get that.
Right.
And so I think it gives a false tense, kind of sort of just almost. But again, like you say, if the skill guy, he's going to stick out. He's going to stick out. But I'm not, and I feel like the kids, they spend so much time during 7-on-7. It takes away in the weight room, their nutrition, understanding the sport.
Sure.
Because like you say, 7-on-7, as soon as the season over, it's take over the summer.
Right.
It
Yeah.
goes for 4 or 5 months.
Yep.
Yeah.
So these kids that's all they're doing, and then football season picked back up, but they didn't really have time to put on the weight and really, grow in the position that they're playing.
Yeah.
Because you have at 7-on-7, bro, you will have a defensive end playing receiver.
Right,
Like,
yeah,
bro,
exactly.
What are you doing?
Right. Yeah.
Like, what are you doing, bro? What are you doing? So I get it. The kids want to be active and keep some out of trouble and give them something to do, but it's definitely taking over football.
Yeah. Yeah, it sure. Yeah, it certainly feels like it.
The flag is taking over football.
Yeah.
The NFL just adapted, NFL flag. So I mean, they're paying attention.
Sure.
They're paying attention.
Well, I think we should get into some 68 Ventures Bowl stuff because
Yes.
you have been just all
my
over
God.
the place this
Yes,
week.
I have.
You've gotten to go to practices and you've got to meet some of the players and coaches and
Yes.
whatnot. We actually have 5 local guys that
Yes.
play for Louisiana Lafayette. And it's names that he and I have talked about before because they're all freshmen, which I think is really, really cool. And I'll go ahead and I want to name them off so that we can shout them out. We've got Kevin Malone. He's a freshman corner out of Viger High School. We've got Jaden Smith, a wide receiver out of Mary G. Montgomery. DeAntonio LaShore, freshman defensive lineman out of LaFleur. Chase Howard, a freshman defensive lineman from Blunt. And then Ashton Wright, a freshman defensive lineman from BC Rain. Now, out of all these guys, we do know that Ashton Wright is activated. And so at just talk to me about practices this week and kind of what you've seen.
I spent a lot of time with the Louisiana side, first and foremost. Delaware had a lot of walkthroughs. They didn't really practice as much and as tense as the Raging Cajuns did, but they got after it. And it's a funny story, because I'm out there at practice and I'm watching them, and I'm with the AD and the general manager. That's not his position, but it's the role he's in. And I'm asking him, like, if you have a guy that's subpar, is showing flashes of he can play in the league. How you guys keep him on your roster because they don't really have that much NIL money, and they were just honest with me and say Houston is stealing our players every year.
Right.
Every year we're losing a guy to University of Houston,
Yeah.
so they're having to coach their guys and then coach them to stay in to come. So they're up against a tough pickle.
Yeah.
But the guys are hungry, man. I mean. Throughout all, they're focused. They're excited to be back here in Mobile. To be here, especially the local guys. They're overly excited, for their family and friends to get to come out and experience them. And even though Ash is the only one playing, even the guys who are not playing, they're still on a college roster. So for their little cousins and their peers to come out, that's a lot to be excited for.
Yeah.
So, but practice was great. The coaches were great, the players were great, the equipment, everyone from both sides were great. Had to walk through today over at South, and I was able to get more personal with Ashton Wright. And he's chomping at the bit. He came here. He wanted me to mention that they got a win against South Alabama, so he was excited about coming here playing against
That's
South.
awesome.
Yeah, so he's hoping to come here and win again in front of his home crowd. So, and he said his mom and his uncle and everyone was going to come out and cheer him on. So he's very excited to be back here in Mobile in the Port City. And the 6A Venture Bowl in the whole, I think they've done a great job this week with the whole bowl game. They had yesterday. They played Matrix Parks, I believe, and playing baseball, and the kids enjoyed that. And they're just getting to see Mobile. I think they have the parade tonight, which is really kicking off, the 6A Ventures Bowl. So they're excited, and I'm excited for them to see, Mobile. Because a lot of those kids in Louisiana, Lafayette, they think that Mardi Gras started in New Orleans.
Yeah, that's
So-
what there's
Sure.
always that debate every year around Mardi Gras.
Yeah, I let them know every chance I get, any of them, especially LSU guys. So hope they'll get to experience the original Mardi Gras.
Sure.
Yeah.
Some parts of it, so to speak. So I'm excited, and just the opportunity to be, inside the 6A Ventures Bowl and having, to get personal with the coaches and players, and even at the game tomorrow. definitely was great for the opportunity. Even team with you guys, Emily, to bring some B-roll back to you guys and share, inside the 6-8 Ventures Bowl. So thanks for having me today, and thanks for letting me tinkle with you guys.
Absolutely,
yeah. No, we love it. We absolutely love it. I kind of also want to talk about. We've talked about this area in Mobile and how special it is. I mean, this is one of the places like so much talent comes out of this area. Just talk about why you think that is and what makes Mobile so special for us to have all this talent. We're talking about big names from here all the time.
And it goes back to Keith McCants, Sherman Williams, Jason Caffey, Satchel Paige. I mean, it doesn't stop.
Yep.
Robert Brazil, Hall of Famer. I mean, you look at those guys and you look at myself and you look at the ones that's doing it now and you sit back and you're like, what was it that got us that far? What was it that drove us? And all of us say the same thing, our family. We wanted more because this area it's a blue collar area. Let's just call it what it is. You get up and you go to work.
Yep.
You got some people that sit around and wait for it to come, but that's a small percent.
Right.
And these kids, they want it for themselves. They want to be able to take care of moms. They want to be able to make sure little brother and little sister got the right proper school clothes and school shoes to carry on. So a lot of us put that on our back. And we carry that weight of being the breadwinner, farther as we can. A lot of us make it to the top. You could say the top, I guess, but and some of us only get a smear of it. But this area, man, it's just a hard-nosed, make it or break it area, and that goes for Baldwin County and Mobile. I call it 251 shell. And we've, like you say, Emily, we've put out some spectacular players across, and not just football. I mean, you look at baseball, what St. Paul's and South Alabama's and Mobile College has done. I mean, I was just talking with his name slipped my head. He actually training my son in baseball, but he played at Mobile College and actually coaching there too. Pitcher. I don't know why his name is drawing a blank right now, but you wouldn't expect that he would be here in Baldwin County.
Sure.
Have that kind of experience, that played at the highest level and won, Golden Gloves at the highest level. And these guys are right here in our backyard,
Yeah.
And so, and I don't even know, Emily, how you would highlight all of that.
It's so much. You need a full-blown team 24/7 to talk about all the people that we have down here. It's insane.
Yes. I mean, Jamarcus Russell, #1 draft pick overall. Like, how does that happen?
Yeah.
And
Julio at Foley.
Yeah,
Right,
Julio
you get
Jones.
it,
That's wild.
It's and it goes on and they're still being made. There's another Julio out there. I like the little kid at Daphne. Oh my God.
Oh, CJ.
Yes.
Gardner.
CJ Gardner.
Yep.
I mean, it's just his range,
right?
And not only CJ, I mean, they have so many little young kids, and I like the youth. Like, for a while, I mean, I'm kind of going off topic right now, but I felt like the competition around this area took a dip.
Yeah,
I don't know. I mean, we kind of talked about that earlier off camera, and we can't really pinpoint why. But I will say this younger crop, these 7th, 8th, and 9th graders, especially in Baldwin County, I'm not really too familiar with the Mobile younger crop, but you're starting to see that old. That old brown hard-nosed, ball being played, at that level. So it's exciting.
Yeah, there's a bunch of them that got a lot of love this year. I know there was a kid at Daphne as an 8th grader who played for them.
Defensive end.
Yes.
Trey. That's Trey.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's going to be spectacular.
Yes.
I got to work with him briefly. Kid's smart kid, instinctive. And I was kind of nervous by being so young. But when I went and watched him play, he holds his own. He's all over the field. He looks like he doesn't like an underclassman.
Right.
So but I call those unicorns. But I do feel like there's more that can be done to maximize these guys, the talent level around here. And I wish I could put a finger on it. And pull it out of a hat, but it doesn't work like that.
Yeah.
When you're seeing these young kids practice and we're seeing them at a young age, what is it when you see them? What are you looking for? What stands out to them that you can think, oh, that kid's going to be great?
You can look at a kid, Emily, and see all the great athletic ability and hearsay and all that. But if he's not respectful to his parents, he's not going to be respectful to a coach or his peer or no one else. So I look at the attitude and the temper of the kid. Like if he's being respectful to his peers and he's a great athlete, that can tell you that kid has a long trajectory. The ones that you see that know they're the hot stuff and they act like it, they burn out very, very quick. There's always something else that derails them. I don't know. It happens all the time. So I always look at the attitude and the temperament of the kid. If he can, if he can be that kind of player and be humble at the same time at that young age, it kind of tell you that he's got a long road ahead of him.
Sorry, I thought someone was walking in on us here. Well, and we're talking about how talent rich this area is. That is one thing that I think is cool about 68 Ventures Bowl inviting a team like Louisiana Lafayette, because not all these kids in this area are going to be recruited by the Alabamas, the Oregons. They're not all going to be the 4- and 5-star blue chip guys. A lot of these guys are going to have to go to a place like a Louisiana Lafayette. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but I guess it would be interesting being a kid and seeing some of your peers being these highly recruited players.
And to even touch on that, bro, the crazy part about that, I was talking to the general manager. I asked him, they only signed like 4 or 5 high school guys this year, bro.
Right.
I call it the NFL, but the college football is NFL, but it's NFL ball.
Right.
Yeah.
They rather go in the portal and get a guy that's fully developed than to take a kid and develop him, because it's like we were saying earlier. These coaches are they're in win now mode.
Yeah.
These ADs and these fans are not giving these coaches time to develop programs and kids anymore.
That's right.
The pressure right now is crazy for head coaches and for players to perform. I mean, you have to get in and perform right away.
Right now. And it's kind of unfair to the game because, like you say, you Jackson Arnold, for example, you take a kid from Oklahoma, you give him $2.8 million, whatever $1 million they gave him, and he don't pan out. Now that you fired the coach, and now everybody's in, like you said earlier, everybody's in, now they blow up the whole, everything's gone, over one, bad apple, not even a bad apple, it wasn't a good fit.
Yeah.
Back in the day, it just wasn't a good fit.
That's right.
Now it's like everyone's getting fired because so much money's involved now, so it sucks, man.
Yeah.
Same thing. I mean, same thing at Penn State too. And I think this has been like the craziest, like when it comes to head coaches. I mean, I'm an Ole Miss girl, so I've experienced it with Lane Kiffin. But I mean, when do you think like that switch flipped? Because now it's just. Do you think it's when the playoff got expanded? Now people are expecting it to be like a quicker results, or what do you think it is?
I'll let you take credit.
Well,
first.
I think honestly, I think coaches are still trying to figure out how to navigate the world with all this money. I think in theory, when all this started, it made sense that instead of taking a high school freshman, you would go get somebody who's been developed at a smaller or a different school and bring them into your program because they're a ready-made product. I think the downside of that is a lot of these guys, there may not necessarily be bad apples, but, they're transferring for a reason, or they're wanting to find a new situation for a reason, and you're putting a dollar figure on them when you bring them in. So when they don't pan out, your fans are yelling about the money.
Boosters are yelling about
boosters are yelling
mainly
about the money. And you end up building a roster full of mercenaries every year. And sometimes you're not going to be able to gel all those guys together to have a team that plays well. And so it's almost like a double whammy because we brought in all these guys who were supposed to be good and we're paying them X amount of money. You're gonna shorten your shelf life as a coach at a school if you keep going like that. So I think some blend of still recruiting the top high school guys and bringing in transfers that make sense for your team is probably going to be where we end up going.
And I think where I'm just kind of piggyback on what you were saying. Back in the day, I remember when you went to junior college, it was so hard to get back into college because you had to be a stud.
Right.
You had to be the guy. And it's like anyone can get in the transfer portal without even proving themselves and, go on somewhere. And so I don't understand where that switch flipped, because I feel like if a guy's in the portal, this is what you're saying, it's the reason why you're in the portal. What's the reason? Is it because you're looking for a better opportunity or you're running from opportunity?
Yes.
So, and to kind of cast on what you were saying, I think the switch finally flipped, Emily, is when Kirby left Alabama and built the program at Georgia so fast. Everyone else said, "Okay, that's the way to do it."
But that's the standard now.
That's the standard now.
And that's what the people expect.
But what they didn't realize was Kirby took Scott Cochran with him, and Cochran was the key component to Alabama's magical goo.
Yes.
Kirk. It wasn't. I mean, don't get me wrong. Coach Saban is Coach Saban. He's going to be the GOAT till they don't make any more goals. But when you dissect the whole brain and everything, Cochran was the one that was holding it together. So when he left with Kirby to go to Georgia, they built the same program. And so everyone else started chasing that model. Now, the coach in Indiana, he figured it out only because he's connected to Saban them. So he gets it.
He knows the secret recipe.
You get it.
Yeah.
But it's not something that he was like, just like it's not something everyone can do. Just because you go in the portal and grab a stud doesn't mean he's going to come in your team and the people, they're going to, the team has to accept him. It's not just the fans and the coaches, the players. Because I'm looking like this, bro. I'm in Alabama, year 3, starting, not really glaring off the charts, but I'm holding my own.
Right.
And they bring a guy in here and they pay him $4 million to do the same thing I'm doing. Bro, he better sleep with both his eyeyes open.
Yeah, right.
Exactly.
Yes, that's right.
So it's like, how do you control that?
Yes.
What's the because in the NFL it's different because everyone's getting paid.
Right.
And everyone thinks everyone in the NFL making millions. It don't work like that.
No. And
we understand that, So, and then you take that same concept and bring it to the college world. Well, these kids are too young to understand that.
Yes.
They figure if Ryan Williams gets a NIL deal, then where's my NIL? You know?
Yeah.
So I don't even. I feel sorry for these college coaches. We know the switch is flipping. I don't think they can flip it. I don't think they can turn it off.
No, and so many of them too are also. And this is changing a little bit too, but so many of them are having to play the role of GM and coach, which they are 2 separate jobs for a reason. And you see schools now hiring GMs to kind of manage some of that stuff,
which is crazy to think.
Isn't it? Right?
Just even hear you saying it's crazy.
There's another layer to it too, with like now boosters. I mean, you need the money, you need the boosters to invest in your program, but now it's like when these boosters are investing, they're like, oh well, I need a say in what you're doing, and maybe it's always been that way.
No, it hasn't, Emily. But it's funny you mentioned that. I just saw where it was an actor, I believe it was, say he had donated to a school and the kid never called, and the kid transferred, but didn't even tell him thank you when he gave him the money. I forgot the actor's name, but it blew my mind.
Yeah.
Number one, that the actor would feel entitled that the kid owed him a thank you or hey, I'm leaving, but two that the actor would give the kid the money, like,
right.
You know what I mean? It's
exactly.
like, what are we doing here?
Yes.
What are we doing here? But it's college football.
Yep.
This is what it is. So I don't know how you put the cat back in the bag, and honestly, do you even want to put the cat back in the bag?
Yeah, I know. And I know there's a lot of legislation going on with
politics.
Yeah, with the NIL, and they're trying to get laws and stuff passed to
do
kind
we
of
want
fix
more
some
politics
of this.
in sports?
Well, that's exactly.
That's like it feels like. It's just is it a win-win? Is it a lose-lose? Like it's just crazy the place that we're at when it comes to college and high school and this NIL and transfer portal, and it's more of a business now, I think, than it ever has been.
100%. And I'm like you, Emily. I feel like there's going to have to be some kind of regulatory system put in place. You just don't know when and where.
Right.
Because they started paying these players for a reason.
Yeah.
And now you can't say that you can't pay them anymore.
Yes.
Yeah.
And they're not even begun to ask for TV dollars yet. Like they're not even asking for revenue share yet. So I mean, what's going to happen when they start asking for that? Like who's going to foot the bill? Is it going to be the college or NCAA?
Yeah.
Like, who's it going to belong to?
Right. or when these players unionize at a certain point. I mean, that's going to be that'll be when that comes into play.
100%.
I have a
Because
feeling,
they're employees now.
They're
not just student athletes.
They're 1099 employees.
Yeah.
And that's the
file
craziest
taxes.
part to me is the fact that it's a job now.
Yep.
But it's also, people make the argument about, and I say this because I'll wrap it coming back to like the Ole Miss Lane Kiffin situation, is like people are talking about, oh, how hard this is on the kids and how terrible this is on the kids. Because I think a lot of the time we do forget these are anywhere from 18 to 22-year-olds. And I know a lot of them are getting extensions now and playing longer, so you might have a 25-year-old in there somewhere. But the crazy part about all of it is, like, you have to remember that, you're a kid, but this is business now. You're getting paid. And you got to show up and go to work and do your job. And do you think that I mean, and we talked about it a little bit, we touched on it, these kids having to grow up so much sooner.
And just what you say, and a lot of these kids are reclassifying, so they're leaving earlier than what they're expected to leave.
Yeah.
So I mean, I remember Ryan Williams was 16 years old, I want to say.
Yeah, he was.
You're not even driving.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
He has to come back home to
Exactly.
take his driving test probably. So it's like, and then on top of that, you're giving them hundreds of thousands of dollars. So I'm not going to sit here and cast stones against any of those guys, because I'm not going to say I was receiving hundreds of thousands of dollars, but I was once in that place to where, you miss a tackle or, you get a disciplinary reason, and now everyone's casting stones against you. So I've been there and seen that and done that. So I understand, how much stress it is going into being a college, athlete. But at the same time, when you're giving those kids that money, now you're opening yourself to the scrutiny. You're not a minor anymore. Like you say, you were a paid actor at that point.
Yeah.
So again, I don't know where the state of football is headed, but I will say it's scary times that we're facing. I will say that.
Well, and Wallace, I'd love to know sort of your perspective on this as somebody who works with a lot of these young athletes and tries to coach them up and help them be prepared for the next level. College sports has always had shady figures sort of in the background. Still do.
Yep.
How much of the people around a player is so important for their success at the next level?
1,000%. You can go back to the example that they made from the kid from Florida. I don't know if you guys are familiar with that situation, but he had signed an NIL deal out of high school with this shady NIL, lawyer. Never heard from the guy after the deal. I mean, literally, never heard from the guy until he got drafted. He got his check. 400 and some thousand of his money had been direct deposit to the deal that he signed in high school.
Oh, no.
Tried to get a lawyer and go back and sue the guy, but found out that he had signed off 50% of all his earnings for 10 years upon signing the contract. That's an NFL. No D lineman is paying 15 years in the league.
Right.
No.
So he signed off 30 or 40% of his earnings for the next 10 years. And the courts upheld it. Because it was a binding contract that he signed when he was 17 years old. So it goes back to what you were saying. Who should have been around that kid to protect him from that vulture? That's a vulture.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's a vulture. So who failed him? The system, his parents, the coaches. I mean, he was like you say, Emily, he was a kid. So someone failed that kid.
Yeah.
And I believe he didn't. I believe he ended up quitting football because why would I?
Sure.
At the taxes, the stadium the state that I'm in. And if you were in Kansas City, you're paying Kentucky and Ohio taxes.
Right.
Same for, Cincinnati. Same for Kansas City. You're paying Missouri and Kentucky taxes.
Right.
And you're paying 30% to this. And bro, you have no money left.
Yeah.
You literally are filing loans your first year in the league.
Right.
And who wants to live like that?
Nah,
So I hope and pray for the next generation behind that kid and these kids coming up, that something is put in place to protect them. Because like you said, Emily, if we don't go back and establish these programs when they're 12 and 13 years old, then we're throwing them to the wolves. And that's what's happening.
With all this going on, how do you encourage someone to still love the game? Like, you're doing this because of the number one, like, you love
It's
it.
hard,
Money's the
Emily.
driving factor. So how do you encourage someone like that?
And as he was saying earlier, when I'm talking to my guys now, that back in the day, you didn't talk about money. That was the end all.
Right.
When you got the money, it was almost done. Now that's the first part of the conversation. These kids want $50,000 to come on campus on a recruiting trip.
Oh my goodness.
And they're getting it.
Yeah.
These kids are getting $40,000-$50,000 just to come for a spring game.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Why? I don't know.
Yeah.
What I mean? I don't know what I don't know what goes into. I don't know why we want to pay a kid. I don't care if he's a number one prospect, $50,000 to come on my campus to tell me he's going to go to LSU. Like, I don't understand it, but it's the can of worms that's been opened.
Yes.
That they have to deal the hand that they dealt. So I don't know how you put it back in the bag or if they even want to.
Yeah. Yeah, so fun question. I was thinking about this earlier. I wanted to ask you this. So you played with and against a lot of great players down here at the high school level, college level, pro level. Who's the best player you played against in high school, college, and pro?
Man, that's a good one. Played with some great guys. Played against some great guys. As far as Imano or just best guy on the field?
Best guy on the field.
Tom Brady.
Yeah.
On top of Tom Brady, Peyton Manning. Those two guys. I caught the tail end of Peyton Manning when he was at the Denver Broncos. I got Tom when he was in Tampa and New England. So I got to see the best of Tom Brady, the best of Tom Brady, and just the way he conducted his business, the way he ran his operation was just bar none. Drew Brees was a different guy, too, but Tom Brady was just the confident you knew you were in trouble when he
Right, yeah.
It's like you knew you were in trouble.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's
Yeah.
like he's the only guy that kind of and honestly it kind of put an extra like
little hot sauce on it, on the oyster, as they say. But he was the guy, and they protected him. The refs knew he was the guy.
Right.
So that too was a little different spectrum to his game because he had the protection of the refs.
Well, and I think you played against him at a time when he would do that thing too, where as soon as he felt any kind of heat, he just fell down.
He go down. I got 3 sacks off him because of that.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it was just like you say. It was like he knew that to play. But that was Tom.
Right.
That was Tom. And what I liked about him, though, bro, I will say this: he never MF'd his guys. Mm-hmm. If he did, it was because one game we hit him like we crushed, like we almost hurt him. And
right.
he kind of, but he always was encouraging him. I'm like, bro, this dude just got you killed, and you're going to tell him, get me next time?
Right.
No, he's not. I'm gonna get him, But he just, the way he talked to his guys, man, and it showed me why they went so hard to protect him because, he cared for them, and it was, you can see that. But, as far as like outside of the quarterback position, man, A.J. Green was a good. He was.
Oh, okay, sure.
Not only was a good teammate, he was just a great. He's a great guy. Mm-hmm. Just nothing rattled him. I've never seen anything like it.
Right.
Like the guy, how he came in the building, and how he left the building. Like every day, he's the same guy every day. So I would have to say A.J. Green.
Okay.
Speaking of Tom Brady, we just saw Phillip Rivers come back, but the thing is, Tom Brady, he can't because of his stake with the Raiders.
Right.
But let's say that wasn't a thing. You think Tom Brady could come back and he would still have
100%. Because the game is so different now, Emily. Like the quarterback position, and kind of Mahomes benefited from this more than anybody. They had to back in the day, the quarterbacks were going down left and right, knee injuries after knee injury because guys were hitting them low, and so they had to start, getting us off of them, and they start getting us off of them by, I think, my last year in Cincinnati, I was fined $125,000. That's how much they fined me throughout the year from late hits on the quarterback. So when they start playing with your money, you start, hey, it ain't that, this league ain't that,
Right.
it ain't that serious.
Right,
It's gonna cost me $10,000 to take him to the ground.
Sure.
So, that aspect of it, man, kind of like gave the quarterback more time. It gave him more protection. So a guy like Tom Brady and Rivers, all they need is 2-3 seconds.
Right.
In that 2-3 seconds, those guys are like 5 or 6 seconds.
Yes.
In the real, it's hard to beat a guy like that. A lot of people didn't think Rivers was going to go out and score touchdowns. He made it look easy because he has time now. And you still got guys coming at him trying to rip his head off, but the aggression isn't there anymore, and they know that. So I definitely think Tom Brady can go back and start something if he wanted to, 100%.
Yeah, because Rivers this week, that's a really good Seattle defense that he was
Yeah.
going
Dang
against.
right. Dang right it is.
So-
But again, those guys know once they get in that quarterback box, am I going to take a $10,000 fine, or am I going to make a statement?
Right, yeah.
It's a business decision.
Yeah.
And those guys know that. They know that. Look at Baker. He plays that well.
Mm-hmm.
He's the only guy that gets out the pocket and runs, and he they can't hit him no
Yes.
more. Those
Yeah.
quarterbacks run around like that 4 or 5 years ago.
Yeah.
Heck no.
No, they knew once they left that pocket that they IR.
Right.
You're getting your clock clean. Like, it was OB.
100%. So now they have protection, Emily. So it's like they can run around with a bouquet of flowers and not lose one petal.
Yeah.
And they know that. So and more hats off to those guys, because at the end of the day, it's that brand and that position what's drive that sport, and it drives that team. So I'm as a defensive player, you want to gripe and all that, but hey, it is what it is. He's the star of the team, and he's selling the tickets.
Sure.
So I get it. I get it.
Phillip Rivers was a semifinalist for the Pro Football Hall of Fame.
Phillip Rivers better be the finalist for Comeback Player of the Year.
I
don't know if they voted for it yet, or they
Yes,
closed
I
the
know.
voting, but he needs to be in the conversation.
Yeah, I don't know who else the nominees would be, but that's got to be the pick.
Oh my God,
How
bro.
could it not be?
How could it not
Yeah.
be, Emily?
But it's also crazy that he was literally a semifinalist for the Pro Football Hall of Fame, and now that he's come back, he can't be nominated again for
Yep,
another
4
5
years.
years.
Yep.
Do you think that played it? You're weighing the options.
but
You have the opportunity to come back and play in the league and live out a dream, or you got to put it off 5 more years.
Then we also too, we got to be. We got to. When we're inside of the mic now, has Phillip put up those kind of numbers to make it into the Hall of Fame? Has he had a Hall of Fame career? I'm probably sure he's asked himself that too, because if I was a shoe-in Hall of Famer, there's no way I'm gonna go. Excuse me. There's no way.
I fight the mic every week.
There's no way I'm gonna I'm gonna try to add on to that. You
Right.
know, so maybe he felt like he wasn't gonna get in. So what do I have to lose? You know, so I mean, I'm glad he went back, man, because I mean, the kids he coaching, I mean, that's motivation for his boys. That story be told for years to come.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's like the biggest story.
He's already a Hall of Famer. I mean, you're right. He's already a Hall of Famer.
That's crazy. He could be a future Hall of Famer, comeback player of the year, potentially. I mean,
Yeah.
at 44 years old, he's a grandfather.
And he went to the playoffs. His second year.
Yeah.
He's had a year.
Right.
Yeah.
Phillip has had a year.
Absolute year. Oh
I
my
hope that
God.
dude like takes off this summer or something, and like goes to the beach and
Yes,
relaxes.
he deserves it.
Oh, that's going to be some form of like ESPN 30 for 30 or NFL special,
Yes, he deserves it.
it's a crazy, crazy story.
Speaking of quarterbacks, it was the same thing with the Heisman race. A lot of people were kind of mad that the Pavia kid didn't win it, but I
Right.
told them the voters took class over clarity.
Yes.
And at the end of the day, a prestigious award like that, it should be your character should play the biggest
Absolutely.
part than your accolades. And I think the Heisman, and I don't want to get off subject, but I think they got
No,
it right,
you're
this
right.
year. Mendoza, great kid, great
Yep.
background. He loves football.
Kind of nerdy.
You get
like,
it, He's
cool.
He's cool, and so I was excited to see that. Don't get me wrong, Pava had a great year. I think he'll be a great NFL backup. I think he'll sell a lot of jerseys, but character wins every time, and I think the Heisman voters got it right this year.
And he I think kind of showed some of his truer colors.
Yeah, when he came out
after
after.
the loss.
God,
I was kind of, is it wrong for me to be surprised that he did that? Like, for someone to be in the limelight so much and everyone's looking at you in a positive light and then you come out and do that?
I'm gonna tell you why I wasn't surprised. The guy picked Johnny Manziel to be his mentor. That's like going into a candy store and getting black licorice. Just like I want the sourest piece of candy you have in the store. It's like
Yeah.
It's like being a pop star and wanting Justin Bieber as your.
yeah, exactly. So I didn't understand that selection when I didn't and nothing against Johnny. I mean, everybody knows Johnny and everybody knows his story, but I just felt like he could have picked a better role model.
Yeah.
Even if you were acting, you could have picked, a better role model. Because we all know Johnny. And
Sure.
Johnny ain't taking you to church on Sunday.
Right.
No.
And so I think that had something to do with it too. But again, you can't take anything away from the kid. I mean, he's still a good talent. But
Yeah.
I do feel like the Heisman voters got it right this year.
Yeah, I do too. And to be honest, I really didn't think it was. I thought it made complete sense who won, because you're talking about a kid who led Indiana to beat Ohio State to #1 in the country. This is Indiana football we're talking
Indiana
about.
football.
Yeah.
We all know Indiana.
Yeah, we know Indiana.
Exactly.
That's unbelievable. They've never.
Did you see the clip they showed where it was only one reporter at the kid from Ohio State's table?
Oh no, really?
Yeah, bro.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah, he only had one guy answering him questions, bro. I think that kid is going to be dangerous next year.
Yeah.
I think that's going to be his
Motivation.
wake up call.
Yeah.
And I'm going to tell you another thing's going to be dangerous. I like and I knew he wasn't going to have the year that everyone was putting on him. The Arch Manning kid.
Sure.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I knew he wasn't going to have the year, but next year is going to be his year.
Yeah.
Yeah, next year. And I think, too, a lot of that falls on his marketing team.
Yes.
They put too much dip on his chip.
Yes.
And so,
Yeah.
and it goes back to what we were talking about earlier, like, when is enough enough?
Yep.
Yeah.
When do you let these kids just be kids?
Yep.
And people got mad at him, but they had a right to because they did that.
Yes.
They came out and put that bubble around him and did
And he was the one that kept saying in interviews, like,
Yes.
I haven't done anything
Yes,
yet.
it was-
I have not even stepped on the field yet.
Exactly.
Like, let me get. I'm as a player.
Oh my God,
they
Emily.
want the opportunity to get out there and let me show you what I can do.
Yes.
The pressure.
I
It's
felt sorry
insane.
for him. I felt like he was. I mean, they all have handlers at this point. Let's be honest.
Right.
Like Johnny exposed that, but I just felt like he wasn't in control of his destiny. Like they wouldn't allow and a kid like that, let him write his own story, bro. He's
Yeah.
already facing his uncle and his both. I mean, he has too much pressure.
The Manning name is
Right,
football
Thanksgiving.
royalty.
Why would you want to show up to Thanksgiving?
Yeah,
like,
right.
There's so let the kid just let him breathe. Let
Yes.
him breathe. So I'm looking forward to see some good things out of Manning next year because I think he's more comfortable who he is now.
Right.
I think we saw that the last 6 games that he's kind of coming into his own. And I know we're talking about NIL. That's why I was just throwing it out there
Yeah.
because these kids, it's like you were saying there, and the benefit he has is he's grown up around the money.
Mm-hmm.
He's grown up around,
Yes.
the attitudes and the ups and downs. So he's seen it. His dad wasn't the man, the brother to be the brother.
Right, right.
The brother outside of the brother. So I feel like that kid he can handle that. I don't think he needed all of the hoopla around him too. I just don't think he needed that.
Yeah, because I mean, it got to the point with him where it was you had Paul Feinbaum one week calling him the best college football player since Tim Tebow, which is
sure did say that.
a crazy thing to say.
Yeah.
But then after one bad week, he's the worst quarterback
flop.
that's ever played.
Yes.
And he wasn't gonna get he wasn't gonna get out of that.
And like Emily said, the kid didn't ask for any of it.
No.
He came out and told us, "I'm not asking for any of this."
Right.
Yeah.
But absolutely.
Well, speaking of Indiana and all these teams, I want to talk a little bit about the college football playoff. I mean, we got 12 teams in. And Ole Miss is one of them. I'm going up to the game this weekend. I'm so excited. It's going to be the biggest sporting event in the state of Mississippi.
And how does Lane walk out of you guys? How does Lane walk out of you guys?
Thank you. I don't.
Be honest with me. How do as for someone who's played for? They went to Ole Miss.
Yeah.
You played co-ed there, so you played there. How does it feel? Like, how do you guys, did y'all feel like your hearts got ripped out or you guys saw it coming?
This is my thing. I've looked at it from both sides of it. My thing is, you said this term earlier, and I'm 100% behind it. A leopard never changes his spots. And we knew he was a snake when we hired him.
Okay, so you guys,
and so, like, we got bit by the snake, and everyone's acting shocked. And don't get me wrong, him leaving a playoff team, that's something that even I was shocked that he did.
That's diabolical.
But I think that he has, okay, in my opinion, if you look at the Saban tree, I mean, you've got Sark at Texas, which is a big blue blood program, and you've got Kirby at Georgia. I think he might have little brother syndrome.
You think that's what it was?
I think he feels like he needs to go to LSU because don't get me wrong, LSU is one of the top programs historically and all that. I think he feels like he needs to go there and do it there, which is something, in my opinion, he could have done it in Oxford.
I feel the
We're
same
in the
way.
playoffs.
I feel the same way.
And my thing is, if we beat Tulane on Saturday, we play Georgia in the Sugar Bowl, a team that we only lost by a touchdown.
Yeah, Emily, I don't understand it because, again, like you said, he had to know the road that he would have took to get to the championship. It's like you say, it's wide open.
Yeah.
Georgia's the only team in your way.
Literally.
And he knows Kirby. Kirby and Lane are like little
Little
brother and big brother.
brothers, yeah.
So,
Saban's their dad.
You're right, exactly. Well, Jimmy Sexton, but that's another story.
Yes.
Oh, yes. That too.
That's another series. But I can't even put words on it because I felt like you go to a school like LSU because you don't really have anyone to recruit against you in state. And really and truly, do you put a Mississippi State and Southern Miss up against Ole Miss in recruiting? Like if I'm a guy in Mississippi, like this you get what I'm saying?
Yes.
So I don't feel like he had competition in state,
right?
But he was getting the best guy. So other than money,
and he was the portal king.
And he was exactly. So other than money, the $91 million that he got into $25 million, but I heard
we told him we'd match.
Right. So
we told him whatever you want financially. I think he wants. So this is a statistic that I was looking at not too long ago. About the percentage of teams, like SEC teams that get night games. And if you look at it...
they love LSU at nighttime.
Oh, yeah.
You compare it to other schools that get 34% of their schedule is a night game, or 12%. Some schools might be 12%. I think Vanderbilt might be one of the lowest. LSU's percentage of their night games at home, 84%.
Yeah. Prime time is so you're saying prime time is what he went after.
He wants, because that's what he talked about in his press conference is...
But
what
Lane
it
doesn't
sounds
even
like.
have the personality to cultivate the
No.
he's not even that guy.
No, he's not.
He's the Grinch, if anything, football.
Right.
So I don't understand where he would want to go to a bigger market. But I don't know. I just feel like if I'm a player, that's a slap in the face.
Yeah.
Like you don't forget your coach walking out on you in the time you needed him the most. Like that, I think college football should have stepped in.
Yeah.
And kind of whatever him and Ole Miss administration had going on, hey, listen, you guys need to fix this internally.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, if he takes the old LSU job, what is he losing by playing in the college playoffs? What is he losing? I mean, two weeks of recruiting. It's LSU.
Yes.
You're going to get the guys who are going to go to LSU. You're going to get the guys who want to come with you. So I just think he could have handled it a better way.
Yeah.
And I wish he would have handled it a better way because it's like you're expecting him to do that, and he does it.
Yeah.
You
Right,
know?
I know,
So
yeah.
that was his time to be like, you know what? I'm not the guy y'all think I am.
I have grown up.
They literally just did like the ESPN piece on him, talking about how much he's changed and all. And then he was like, I got you all. I didn't change.
Right at all. So I feel sorry for you guys, but I don't feel sorry for Ole Miss because I think you guys will do exactly what you said. I think you guys are going to spank Tulane, give Georgia the run of it. And Georgia's hurt. They're banged up. It's not the same Georgia team y'all played against. So
No.
I think you guys have honestly one of the better chances than anyone else in that seed to
And it's
to
hard.
advance.
It's hard to beat a good team twice. You
Yeah.
know what I mean?
I just think the opportunity is there.
Yeah.
The opportunity is there, and we have battled through the adversity of the season already with Lane's circus. Like if we can overcome that,
Absolutely.
like the focus is you now. It is all on you. You have all the building blocks to go out there and be successful. You just got to go out and do it.
And I like how you guys kept Pete
Golding?
Pete,
Golding. Yeah, yeah.
That was very smart.
I think it was a
very
good
smart.
choice. Good
Absolutely.
choice. You want to keep as many guys on staff as you can, and his goal has been to keep so much of everything the same because you don't have to reinvent the wheel.
Right.
Like this has been working. Let's keep doing that, and I think that's something that Pete has done. Will it pan out in the long run?
We'll see.
I don't know.
Yeah, we'll soon see.
People are less and less likely to hire coordinators nowadays. I think
They are
but
doing that.
it works for Kirby Smart at Georgia.
Yep.
I mean, why can't it work here? And I know it hasn't worked other places, but it'll definitely be interesting to see how the rest of this playoff run goes for all of these teams.
Absolutely.
If you had to pick right now someone to win it all, if you're a betting man, who are you betting on?
Oh, I'm not necessarily a betting man. I learned from Alabama. They scarred me years ago against Georgia. Yeah,
I love it.
I had a bet with the Migos, the rap group.
Oh no.
I lost.
Oh gosh.
Yeah, but I like Indiana.
Do you? I kind of do too,
I like
to be
what
honest.
Cincinnati has built. I like the Mendoza train. I was on the Mendoza hype train last year. Just the name Mendoza Brothers, I like
Sure.
that. You know, it's just something
Yeah.
cool about that name. But I like his program, and I'm gonna throw a monkey wrench out there. I know JMU is the Cinderella, but I think they're gonna play more competitive than people think they're gonna play. I don't expect them to win.
Sure.
Interesting.
But I expect them to play competitive because depth is what's going to affect those type teams,
Yeah.
third and fourth quarter. So if they can hang in the first and second quarter, it'll be a win for their conference. If not, they would never ever again be allowed in the college football playoff. So that's those 2 quarters.
They have the most on the line
100%.
to prove.
100%.
Because they've talked about changing the format of the playoff for next year and expanding it to 16 teams and all these different things. What do you think about the expanded playoff and the format and kind of what do we do? Where are we at?
Money.
Yeah.
That's
It's,
it.
I'm not going to sit here on camera and act like it's anything else.
Yeah.
It's money, Emily. If they can squeeze in another $2 million, that's what they're going to do.
They'll do it,
But
yeah.
honestly, it's like this right here. Okay, you got Notre Dame and those guys crying. Okay, you let them in next year. Number 9 and number 10 is going to be crying. So
That's right.
When does it stop?
That's
It's
right.
always going to be someone that got left out. 17, 18 next year are going to be crying.
That's right.
So it's
Yeah.
always going to be someone that's going to be on the cuff. So you got, and I tell everybody, favor's not fair.
Yeah.
So and I think we just got to get back to that. I think the world is missing that. We make so many excuses and so many consolation prizes, and I just feel like
Participation trophies.
Yes.
I'm not a fan of the participation trophies.
not at all, not at all. So I just want to get back to that. Like I feel like, and I'm going to be honest with you, I'm not saying Bama shouldn't got in, but they didn't have the season to say they deserve
Right.
a playoff berth.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I feel like the best teams should get in, regardless of who they're playing, what their record is. The best teams let them in, and whatever happens. So, rather it's if you don't handle your business, you got 12 weeks to get the job done. If you don't handle your business, oh well.
Yeah, right.
Sucks for you. You
Yeah.
had 12 weeks to show us who you were.
Yes.
Yeah.
So how far does it go? Does it 30? Like where does it stop?
Yes.
Where does it stop? Do we let the SWAC in next year?
Right.
Yeah.
Look at Jackson State. Where does it stop? So I don't. To answer your question, there needs to be something to, I guess, suffice the other conferences that's like the Notre Dames, the non-conference
Right.
guys, and so I feel that there needs to be something there because, at the end of the day, those schools depend on these playoffs. These extra 4 months is for revenue.
Yeah.
Because they're not going to share in that TV money. They're not going to get into that. So I get that part of it.
Yeah.
But I just feel like too, that's a lot on the players.
Yes.
You know, that's a lot you're asking for these guys. I mean, teams are piecing together roster at this time of the year.
Right.
And they're wanting to add another game.
Exactly.
They're talking about having another game in the regular season.
That's diabolical.
It's crazy how much money has been the driving factor. I mean, in everything that we've spoken about today, at the end of the day,
Dollar signs.
it's all about the money.
Yep.
It really is all about the money. Well, I have one final question
What
before
you
we
got?
kind of
Let's do
start
it.
to wrap up.
I feel like we could go all day with this.
We
guys.
could.
So
This
we
is
got
great.
we got to cut it off
you
at
got
some
the dope.
point.
I love this. Yeah.
Alabama is playing Oklahoma, a team that beat them during the regular season. They got to play them up there in Norman. I mean, you're an Alabama guy. What are you thinking?
You alluded to it earlier. It's hard to beat the same team twice. And
And that works in y'all's favor.
It works in our favor. But I will say this. I feel like even last year, and I'm not making any excuses for Alabama, the program, we all know where it's at and what state we're in. But I felt like we left a lot on the field. I felt like we beat ourselves. And don't get me wrong, you got to line up and play man-on-man football. I mean, you got to beat the guy in front of you. But I felt like we didn't get manhandled. Now, don't get me wrong. Todd Bates has Oklahoma defense playing lights out. And he's an Alabama guy as well. Played with me at Alabama. He's a D-line coach there. So, and he hates Alabama. I mean, not hate Alabama. He's not going to, let Alabama beat him.
Yes.
You know? So I get that part of it. But I don't see Alabama going all the way up there and losing to these guys twice in 1 year. I just can't see it.
Yeah.
I don't see it for DeBoer. For if DeBoer loses this game, they're going to run him out of Tuscaloosa.
I think
He's
so.
not going to have to choose. They're going to run him
Yeah.
out of Tuscaloosa. I mean, they wanted to put his house. They was trying to raise a GoFundMe when he got beat by Florida. So I mean, I don't think he's going to have a good summer. I think he understands that, and I don't really think he cares. But I mean, for the peace of mind,
Absolutely, yeah.
I don't think these guys are going to go up there unprepared.
Yeah.
So again, should we have got in? I'm not 100% sold on it, but we're in now, and so. What are we going to do to stay in? And we have to, beat Oklahoma. So they're the first team on the new schedule.
Yep.
And hopefully we don't come out like we did against Florida State and put it down our legs. But, who knows? At the end of the day, they're a good program too. They've proven that they are who they are. But, again, Emily, I'm tied to the day I die.
Hey, I got it. I got
got to
it.
give you a big roll tide.
So let's say Alabama loses. They run Kalen DeBoer out of town. He ends up taking the head coaching job at Michigan.
Lane Kiffin to be in Tuscaloosa.
Yes,
First
he will.
place.
And then LSU standing there with their tail between their legs again.
And that's about like how that's history repeating itself.
Yes.
I'm telling you, I wouldn't be mad about it. I'd be laughing from my side. Let me just tell you.
Oh,
man.
Thank you guys. This is amazing.
Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
it's been awesome. I know we're super excited about the 68 Ventures
Oh,
Bowl.
man.
I mean, there's going to
One
be
of the
a
oldest
parade
bowl
tonight.
games to state I think since 1999, I believe I heard.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah.
It was I can't remember. It's been changed names a couple years with Dollar General Bowl at
Yep.
one point
And
in
Lending
time.
Tree,
Lending Tree
and
Bowl.
now it's 68 Ventures.
I think it was the
but-
Mobile Bowl at one time too, or something
Yeah.
like that. I can't remember the name of it, but it's Nathan Cox and 68 Ventures. I mean, great corporation, great guy to be at the helm of the corporation. Walk on in Alabama, play fullback, played at South also. He gives away four scholarships to each school, two to each school. So he really cares, and so to have a director that understood the game and played in the game. They know how to give back to the game.
I think that's so important.
Absolutely,
If you're going to have
Emily.
somebody in charge, let them be somebody that knows ball.
Absolutely.
You know?
So I'm excited about that. I'm excited for the city of Mobile. I mean, like you say, it's so much cool stuff that happens in Mobile. It's hard to highlight it and make it a big deal, But-
Right.
and it makes you feel like you kind of like not really want to brag because like we got a lot to brag about.
But we do. These
Yeah.
people from Delaware coming down here, like I can only imagine like what they're getting to see and experience this week.
I was on the interstate and I saw a car pulled over and there was some Blue Devils. They was having car trouble. It's kind of sad. They would come,
right.
but hopefully some AAA came and got them off the side of the road. But I did see some Blue Devils on the side of the road, so that lets me know that there are fans in town.
Now that you mentioned that, I was coming back over from Mississippi the other day, and there was a car pulled off on the side of the road, right in front of the "Welcome to Alabama" sign, and I wonder if those were Delaware fans because I was like, these can't be people going to Florida who are like, "Hey, we're in Alabama." I'm like, you got to be taking that picture for a reason.
It's probably their first time to Alabama at all. I mean, I'm sure it's like a culture shock to them.
It is a culture shock to people because you get down. We have beautiful beaches.
Yep.
Yeah.
You take the scenic route across the interstate. I mean, the waterways. I mean, it's just the industrial park coming to Mobile. It's beautiful.
Yeah.
We take it for granted because we're here and we're working 24/7. So it's like we never get to stop and smell the roses.
That's right.
Like you say, people that's never been around here, Mobile is a lot of culture. And so.
How cool it would be to experience it through their eyes.
Right, I know, right?
Experience
Yeah.
it for the first time, which they're getting to do this week.
A lot of them don't even know that we started the Mardi Gras.
No, they really do think it's New Orleans.
Yeah, so,
and New Orleans tries to claim that
yeah,
sometimes.
they do.
We're like,
They
not
know
so
better.
fast.
Yeah.
Not so fast.
Yeah, I had to correct some of those Louisiana guys this week. They were talking about the parade. They was like, "Oh, we used to Mardi Gras." Like, no, you guys are not.
No,
Yeah,
it's
right.
not the
Second
same.
fiddle. Get in your playbook and your history.
Yeah,
right. Exactly.
That's right.
Exactly. Well, it's sure to be an absolutely great week. Going to be a great night tonight with all the parade and whatnot. And then tomorrow, the street party, the pregame stuff. I mean, it's just going to be an absolute blast.
We failed to mention the two kids from Daphne.
Yes, that are going to
so I want to
Louisiana
shout out.
next
Yeah,
year.
absolutely. And Kenny King, Daphne has he got those guys rolling.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like again, Louisiana, they don't recruit heavy in this area.
Mm-hmm.
So for two guys off the same roster to be selected, and I said, well, how do you guys hear about Edric Williams? They said we was watching the O lineman and he popped on and he flashed on film.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And so and I tell these kids all the time, it's not where you go, it's how you got there.
Right.
Because and it's what we just talking about. That guy got looked at because they were looking at someone else.
That's right.
And it ties back in what we were talking about earlier. You never know who's watching, and you never know how they're watching. And so I think just that alone, tying it all into Mobile and Baldwin County, tomorrow the 6A Ventures Bowl is going to be a good game.
Yeah, I'm excited for them. I know they're going to come out to the game. Coach King's going to come out there. It's sure to be just an absolutely good time. What are you most looking forward to about the game Wednesday?
Well, I hope the weather can kind of, keep itself under control. I know you guys are going to have the weather tracker out tonight at the parade. That's pretty dope. But as long as the weather's good, I mean, you expect, when you're playing ball, this time of year it's going to be cold regardless. But you got the pads, you got your helmet. So now that we're not wearing all that protective gear, it's a little different. It's a little different than watching ball this time of year. But Robert Brazil's coming out.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm excited to see him out, man.
He's awesome.
He's got a statue put up down at the port down there.
Yeah.
So, man, he's amazing. And whenever you get to see him out in Mobile, it's always a treat. So I'm looking forward to seeing him and just being around the guys. I've been able, like you said, been at practice all week, so I've kind of built a little relationship with a couple of the Louisiana guys, and I'm excited to see how they're going to come out and play this week.
Yeah. To see a guy like Robert Brazil come back, and I mean, he's so involved with Senior Bowl, and he's so involved at Viger High School, and to see that, I mean, you as well, you're involved. Like, what does it mean to be someone that grew up in the Mobile area and get the chance to come back and give back to the place that built you?
It means a lot, Emily, honestly, because, God chose us for that position. It could have been anybody else. Mm-hmm. We're not the only athletes to come through here and to play ball, but I tell everybody is the playing ball aspect, that's only part of it. Mm-hmm. People remember you how you treated them while you were doing what you were doing. And so that's the most important part, is just always being respectful and always having that avenue to where when you're done playing ball, when the lights are off, when the fans are done calling your name, they still remember you. Mm-hmm. They still remember something that you did outside of football. And that's what kind of guy like Robert, he's done so much for the community of Mobile. Mm-hmm. His legacy will live far past football. Mm-hmm. And so I try to mirror that. I try to make sure that wherever I'm at, I'm not only offering advice, but it's the right advice. Mm-hmm. It's something that a kid can say, okay, I can use this and it can help me in life. And so that's pretty much what it boils down to. Being a pillar and being a servant and serving.
Yeah. That's so special.
Yeah,
so
that's
important.
awesome.
Well, alrighty. I think we could sit here and talk all day.
We really could.
We really could.
We'll have to do this again.
Yeah, we absolutely got to get you to come on
Yeah,
again.
amazing.
Yeah.
You guys are amazing.
Well,
I like too what you guys do throughout the season. Your kickoff, Friday
Oh,
kickoff.
sure.
Friday kickoff.
Yes.
Yeah, we were talking about that earlier.
I like how, I feel like sports in this area was missing something like that. It's so hats off to you guys, and I hope you guys.
Well, thank you.
Thank
Yeah.
you. We really appreciate that.
Yeah, it's good. It's enjoyable. It's good. It's good content.
Sure.
It's good content, and you could. It's only one way to tell the full sports game. That's with the winner and the loser.
Right.
But when you can add meat and potatoes into the
Yes.
game, it gives it gives the audience something to hold on to a little longer, you know. So keep doing what you guys are doing. We're paying attention.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
It.
We've been working on that for 3 years.
We have.
So.
I mean, the most important thing to us is highlighting the kids.
And it's a process.
It is. You got to build it. You got to
Yep.
build it to get people to watch it. But our ultimate goal is to highlight these kids, like the untold stories of these kids, kids that might never, get talked about. It's super important.
And those kids will never forget that.
I hope not.
No, they don't.
Yeah.
I still remember interviews that Randy Patrick did of me back in 2002. We don't forget. We don't forget.
Sure.
And so you guys just keep doing what y'all doing. But I promise you, you will have a kid come back 10 years from now and tell you, "Hey, thanks for featuring me on your." They don't forget. So, and honestly, to keep it all the way a buck with you guys. That was the reason that I had so many sacks my senior year, because I kept wanting to be interviewed.
Yeah.
I kept wanting my name in the paper, and I knew if I had a sack, they would talk about me. So that's how it happened. Like, seriously.
That's awesome,
because
though.
Randy
I
Patrick
love
would
that.
interview those guys that had good games. So I wanted to be the guy that in the Kiwanis Club, I wanted to keep, so I remember those things.
Right.
They play a big part in a kid that has a dream. Stuff like, people like you guys and accolades like that give a dreamer a reason to, to keep dreaming. So keep doing what you guys. And if I can help y'all any way, y'all let me know.
Thank you. Yeah, we really
that.
appreciate
Well,
that.
thank you.
Absolutely.
Well, we really do appreciate you coming and
thank
chatting
you.
with us. This has probably been the most fun that we've had.
Yeah.
So we
appreciate it.
cannot thank you enough.
I appreciate it. Thank y'all.
Yeah,
too.
absolutely.
Well, a lot of great stuff coming up. 68 Ventures Bowl this week. I mean, it's just going to be a great week here in the city of Mobile. But I think it's time for us to head on out and wrap this up.
Yeah, Wallace, where can people find you if they want to follow you, listen to you? Anything you want to plug?
I'm not really big on social media, but I'm big in the streets.
Okay.
I'm always at a park, at a high school, behind Walmart, helping somebody. Whether it's somebody that need to jump off from their battery going dead, or a kid that's using the wrong stairs.
Sure.
I'm always trying to help, because when I leave here, I want to be known as a guy that tried to help. So you can find me somewhere helping someone.
There we go. I like that
I love
answer.
that. Honestly, that's my favorite answer.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. That's
Awesome.
the truth.
Well, good deal. Well, alrighty. Well, we're going to get on out of here. I'm Emily Cochran. He's Robert Bristanio. He's Wallace Gilberry. We will see y'all next week.
Roll Tide.